So I'm going through this book, The Happiness Advantage, and it started off all right, and now it's gotten pretty darn good. I'm towards the end of it, and I have I have to tell you this. So basically, there's this study in this book, and they track the 10%, the top 10% of the happiest people, and basically, they try to find out, is there any sort of factor that these people have more than others that push them or make them happier? And they look for things. They look for, well, are they more healthy? Are they more fit? Are they more put together? Are they more wealthy? Do they have more money? And they only found one single thing that correlated them. And I have an audio book and another book in my hand that can answer what that factor is in one word. Right here. Social. The strength of their social interactions. Now, can you just like conclude everything with this study mentioned in this book, Happiness Advantage? I don't think so, because there have been other studies that I've heard about and read, or I haven't read them, but I've heard about them that say some other things. For instance, there have been studies showing that on a country by country basis, the higher the income, to a certain extent, to a certain level, you get a higher amount of happiness. I mean, it just makes sense. Your standard of living is better when you don't have to go outside and poo into a hole every day, or you're scared about all these sorts of things that cause stress in your life. Whereas in a more developed country, modern medicine and health practices limit a lot of that. And then, you know, if you're stressed about having food on your plate every night, those things can, in certain ways, impact your happiness. So basically what that study showed was, to a certain level, your happiness did correlate to a certain extent with your income. Again, this is on average. So there were still people who were fairly wealthy who were unhappy, and there are people who were unwealthy and pretty poor living in developing countries that were pretty happy. So again, this is like an average sort of trend. And again, another sort of implication or conclusion to that was that once you hit like a certain point, and I feel like it was $70,000 per year, you get much less bang for your buck as you went up. And it makes sense. So it's a very fascinating thing to think about. And I do agree that to a certain extent, money provides income, security, and a lot of things that can help you develop potential ways of increasing your happiness, or just preventing a lot of insecurities or stress that can cause unhappiness. However, this book, Happiness Advantage, and what this, I guess you can call it, this result shows is that the strength and amount, I don't know about amount, but the strength of your social interactions, and I haven't started reading this yet, but I do think this is going to be very useful. It's by a very well acclaimed man, Matthew Lieberman. This will be very vital in just determining or helping your level of happiness. This is something you can start implementing today, working on the strength of your social interactions and your social connections with people. Them being a support system to help you in your times of pain and struggle, and just aid you in your growth. I think it's very helpful, and this is one thing that for sure I am lacking in. I'm not, top in, and everyone wants to be more happy, right? Genuinely, truly happy, not that ephemeral happiness that comes from short-term things. And so this is one of those things that you can start implementing to improve it. I mean, this study shows it, that the top 10% of the people who are the most happy, the only factor that seems to correlate is the strength of positive interactions. So you can start incorporating this, and I have been starting to incorporate this in everything from meeting more people, having more social interactions, befriending more people, saying hi to people, and just talking to them and socializing with them at work, at school, at play. And I do think, though, you have to add this along with other corollaries. I did this whole video on choosing and I guess being a little more picky on who you hang around, because that's also important. I think a lot of people who are good on this, they also fail because they hang around everyone. And that's great and stuff, but in terms of achieving success or not having really negative habits, or people who just like have really bad decisions on finances, or just have a lot of problems, like and they're subtle problems, so most people don't really notice them. These things can rub off on you. Like if this person is always eating unhealthy, or if this person has, you know, horrible finances and just, you know, all the time they're buying a bunch of expensive stuff, that can rub off on you in the wrong way too. So it is a bit of a balance, and it's very hard to sort of self-diagnose, well, where do you fall on the scale? From my sort of amateur self-diagnosis of myself, I do think I fall on the side of being too picky to certain extents. So that's what I gotta say about the subject. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Let me know in the comments if you learned anything and how you're going to start implementing this stuff in your own life. And again, I'd love to hear if any of you want to like go the extra mile. Go ahead and, you know, start searching on Google Scholar some of these studies and experiments and seeing if this is actually true, if this is actually something that's proven. You know, you can't just trust this book just because it mentions, oh, in this study this is done. So thanks, and I'll see you in my next video.